Hi, everybody. Sorry for the delay. Have a few things going on, kids and things, and I'm sure y'all understand. But welcome to session 3 of the You Are an Overcomer workshop. It has been a great workshop, and I can't believe it's session 3 already. Just moving along. Seems like I was just preparing for the workshop and starting it. Now we're already on session 3, and we'll have 2 more after this. I hope y'all have been enjoying the workshop and have been getting some good pointers from the workshop, some things that you can apply to your life, some things that can help you along your own journey, along your own purpose-driven journey, along your own overcomer story, right? Because we are all overcomers. And again, welcome to this session. And again, I appreciate every one of you for joining in and following me and being involved in this group for so long. So I've been doing this for quite a few years now, and a lot of y'all have stuck with me and just been following me and uh, going along in my journey as well, and seeing what I've been up to. So again, just like I want to remind you at the beginning of every workshop session, this workshop is based on the Unlock Your Voice Volume 2, Mantles, Mandates, and Motherhood book that I co-authored with a few other women. This workshop is based upon my chapter that I wrote, The Quiet Storm. And we have been going over the three, well, this is the third, but I have 5 growth keys in my chapter. And that's what we have been discussing. So the first one was know who you are. Session 2 was on, what was session 2 on? Self-care. And session 3 today, again, is on stop people pleasing. Just some things that I have learned in my life along the way, some things that I have learned over the last few years or so, some things that I have struggled with myself. That is why it is a part of my story, and things that have helped me overcome the struggles that I have endured in my life. So one of those things that I have struggled with is people pleasing, which is something that seems, on the surface, it kind of seems like, it's self-sacrifice. You want to be there for others, and it's a way of helping others or serving others, or putting people first, putting other people first. And sometimes we feel like, especially those of you who are helpers, you feel like that is a part of who you are. You want to put others first, and that's the way that you help others. And that's all good. That's all fine. But, at the same time, we want to make sure that we are not overly extending ourselves. We want to make sure that we are not just pleasing other people at the sacrifice of ourselves. And we can fall into this hole, this people pleasing hole, and it can, you know, kind of distract us from what's most important. And we're going to get into that. So, people pleasing is exhausting, but you don't realize it when you are in the midst of it, because something else is greater. Something else is more important, and that is acceptance. That's the main reason why people please, because they want to be accepted. They desire to be liked. The desire to be significant to the person they are trying to please. People pleasers are tempted to say or do what they think others expect them to do or say, or want them to do or say. They try to calculate or what they think the other person will be happy with, and try to do or say it in that way. So basically, seeking their approval, right? So so that is what people pleasers try to do. Some traits that people pleasers have are being agreeable, avoiding conflict, having difficulty saying no, feeling stressed or overwhelmed, passive aggressive, resentful, have trouble being true to their own beliefs and desires because that other person is the one you're trying to please. So it doesn't matter what you believe. It doesn't matter what you want. It doesn't matter if you're stressed out or overwhelmed, that you're overextended because you're trying to please that other person. For me, people pleasing was so I can be liked by everyone. I didn't want to be disliked. I wanted to feel accepted. Um, but now, as I am putting myself more and more out there now, in the public eye, I understand that I am putting myself in a position where more and more people may not like me, and I'm coming to terms with that. That's fine, because I am operating in the area where I'm supposed to be operating in and doing what I believe God is leading me to do. So, I come to terms with, some people might not like me. Some people may, have not like my style or not like my personality, but that's okay. Some people do, and that's the audience that I am for. Um, and there's, other people to help those people that's not attracted to me, and that is totally fine. But as I wrote this book chapter, keeping the peace, something I said in there was keeping the peace was more important than keeping the peace within me. With some of the things that I was going through, some of the struggles that I was having. So people pleasing, it was more important for to have that peace in that moment, even if I wasn't feeling peaceful inside. But I kept my feelings to myself to try to avoid conflict because I didn't want to face it. However, I knew that in the back of my mind it would come back again. It always does. Whenever something, you're trying to brush something under the rug, it's still there. And I explained this example in my book, in the chapter that I wrote, as like a hurricane. And those of us in the South, we know, about hurricanes. There's an eye in the storm where things are kind of settled. You've been through the tough part of the storm where it's windy, it's rainy, there's some destruction going on. But there's a place in the storm where it's the eye, and the eye is calm. It's kind of settled down. Sometimes it can be quiet, but that's a temporary relief until the winds start picking up again, until you are in the midst of that storm again. You're in the midst of that destruction again. So that relief was just temporary. And avoiding things to keep the peace is like that. You're in the midst of things are settled down, things are pretty quiet, things are kind of going okay, but the issue will come back again whether you want it to or not. So I started recognizing those habits. I started recognizing, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect with it now. It is somewhat still a work in progress, but I am aware of it, and I am not trying to fall into those traps again. By becoming more assertive, speaking my mind, saying what I feel I need to say. I figure out how to communicate my thoughts and feelings and be okay doing so. because sometimes I feel like if I communicate this, what will happen, or if somebody might not like me, or things like that. But I refrain my mindset to believe that what I want matters, and what I have to say matters. Sometimes I would even practice what I needed to say before I said it. Sometimes I had to pause and gather myself before I shared how I felt. I also had to remember that even if it's not received well by the other person, that is okay. Because I don't have to try to please somebody by sugarcoating something. I don't have to try to please somebody else for just to make the situation, at peace or comfortable for that moment. But when you are a people pleaser, you can lose who you are because you're so focused on catering to that other person. You're so used to that and you forget about you. But don't be afraid to show who you are. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. Don't be afraid to um, share how you're feeling. Ask the questions that you need to ask. As I think about wanting to be liked by everyone, I realize how flawed that thinking is. Because, you know, really, what's the point of trying to be liked by everyone? It's no point in that. But a deeper thing about it is that Jesus was the most loving and kind person on this earth when he walked this earth, right? He was perfect in every way. He was perfect in every way. But people hated him. They tortured him. They crucified him. So why should I think that everyone should like and approve of me? If he went through all of that, ask yourself, why should I want everyone to like and approve of me? Why would you want everyone to like and approve of you? When the only one that I should be seeking to please is my Heavenly Father. Everyone is not going to like us. Is not going to like us. And Jesus warns of this. It says in Luke chapter 6, verse 26. Woe to you when all people speak well of you. So, not everyone needs to speak well of you. There are people that, we shouldn't expect everybody to like us. We shouldn't expect everybody to speak well of us. And in Matthew 10 and 22, it says, you will be hated by all for my name's sake. So offense will often be an evidence to faithfulness to Christ. We will have to do things that please him that others won't like. So instead of focusing on others, these are some things that we can ask ourselves. Instead of focusing on pleasing others, focus on this more so. Does God approve of the decision or the conversation? Is my Father pleased with the way I love my neighbor? What does it say about some of us that we lie awake, unsettled by social media's likes, comments, but almost never tremble over what the creator of the universe might think? We are more concerned about what other people on this earth thinks than pleasing God. Galatians 1 and 10 says, Am I now trying to win the approval of human beings or of God? Or am I trying to please people? If I were still trying to please people, I would not be a servant of Christ. So putting your thoughts in perspective about people pleasing. It's about serving Christ. It's about pleasing Christ. It's not about pleasing other people. Right? People pleasing will throw you in a state of confusion as well. You are listening to that other person more than following and you are following more and more what they say, following more and more of what they believe. You start being more influenced by that person. And I'm not saying that we can't have positive people around us that influence us, but if we are putting that person on a pedestal, or if we are making that person our source, or if that person has become our idol, that is not in a place where we want to be. We start thinking, believing, and talking like that person. But God is our source. If I'm trying to please someone else, I've made them my source because I've made what they say and their needs higher than God. So when you have an assignment, especially from God, that is the one you are to focus on pleasing. Don't get sidetracked by what's trending or what seems to be the right thing to do, but be obedient to God's assignment and what pleases God. When you seek to please people, that displeases God. And just thinking about this, we are to come from a place of love. God is love, right? And we should have that characteristic within us as well. We should exude love. And when we love others, we can still please them. We can still acknowledge them. We still can do things that make other people happy or inspire them and help them in loving ways. But just saying that shouldn't be our total focus, to just please somebody just for the sake of pleasing them and disregarding what God wants for our lives. So the person or people you are more focused on pleasing becomes your idol. You are more focused on them than God. And you may say, like, why so much about this about God? Why are you saying all of this stuff about God? I just want you to know how to stop. You may think that you're just trying to figure out how to stop being a people pleaser to your friends, or being a people pleaser to your parents, or your spouse, or your significant other, or whoever. But that's the thing. When you are overcome with people pleasing, you are giving away the power that God put within you. You are silencing and diminishing your voice. And when you diminish your voice, you are not able to fulfill what God placed on you on this earth to do. It's like this. We most likely did not learn how to be a people pleaser as an adult. It was most likely something you learned as a child. And that became a habit. Years of habit. And we know how difficult it is to break a habit. And now as an adult, you are in this habit of people pleasing. In this area in your life where you want to appease others, because along the way it started feeling good to you. It started feeling good to you because you wanted to be accepted. You want to be liked. You want to be included. Right? And another thing that people pleasing can do is lead you to be resentful. You can have resentment from being a people pleaser. And you may say you're a person that is a helper. and people always come to you whenever they need something, and you actually enjoy that, and that's fine. You may even call it your gift, or to be able to help people in different ways. But I ask you, is it really your gift when it leaves you resentful? Or it can be your gift, but you actually haven't figured out how to balance it or set boundaries along with it. You feel guilty about saying no, so you go along with doing it anyway, leaving yourself feeling drained, stressed, burnt out, and resentful. And don't get me wrong, helping is great, but doing it constantly at the expense of yourself is not good for your mental health, and it's not healthy. Last week we talked about self-care, and I didn't bring up people pleasing in that session, but you know, the, part of having self-care is saying yes to yourself, saying yes to you. A lot of times when you're a people pleaser, you're saying no to you because you're so busy saying yes to everybody else. So you want to make sure you are having that self-care for yourself. And it's okay to say no to other people. It's okay to say yes to yourself. It's not selfish. All right? So how to stop? How to stop being a people pleaser? Know that you have a choice. Not only recognize the problem, but understand that this is what you are choosing. These are behaviors that you can change. You're not stuck this way. It's not something you're trapped in. It may be a habit, but when you can recognize what it is, you can start taking the steps to make those changes. Identify who you are, what you want, what your priorities are. It will be easier to say no to things when they do not align with who you are, when they do not align with your values, when they do not align with your goals. So know who you are, know what your values are, know what your goals are, know what you believe in. So you can firmly say no, or you can firmly say yes. Set boundaries. Setting boundaries is a form of self-love and self-respect. You know, to someone else, it may seem like you're being mean, or it may seem like you're being just being some kind of negative person, but setting boundaries is healthy. Your time, your abilities, your gifts are valuable, and you need to value them enough to give yourself time. Communicate your needs with love and kindness. That's all you have to do. Communicate your needs with love and kindness. And it may be uncomfortable at first because it's something that you're not used to. It's something that the other person may not be used to about you. But those who truly love you will respect it. They will have to adjust too, just like you're adjusting to this. They will have to adjust if it's somebody close to you. But the people who get angry at this change in you, we're probably benefiting from the people-pleasing part of you. You had a people-pleasing relationship with that person. And it could be a good time to reevaluate that relationship or have a conversation about these things so you can get to a better place with that person. But you can't be everything to everybody. And I had to learn that too. Remind yourself you remind yourself that you are allowed to say no, and it's okay to say no. Say, I'm doing this for me, and that is a good thing. You don't necessarily owe anyone an explanation. You can simply say no. in some cases. All right, be firm with your no. Be firm with your no. Make it. You may have to. Um, you may have a habit of saying maybe or I don't know to an invitation or something like that. Even if you're not interested, you're like, no. In your mind, you're like, I don't want to go, but you say yes anyway. Um, but you could say no. You could say a firm no if you don't want to go. It doesn't have to be a harsh no. It can be a I won't be able to make it. I won't be able to do that. I have plans, but thanks for thinking of me. Be honest, but firm. So many times people pleasers have a fear of letting the other person down or feeling like they will cut you off as a friend. If they get disappointed, it's okay. It's okay to have different emotions. It's okay to have these different feelings. It's okay if you are disappointed. It's something that we experience as human beings. But if you have a healthy relationship with that person, with that friend, or whoever it is, they shouldn't cut you off just because you were firm with something that you believe and something that you needed for yourself. So again, if they get angry at you for saying no, just think about things in that relationship. And sometimes you just got to sit with the discomfort because being a people pleaser, coming out of that is a process. Coming out of being a people pleaser is a process, especially when you have done it for so long. It is something that you can work on, make some changes. It's uncomfortable, but change is uncomfortable at times. Sometimes we have to just sit with the rejection, sit with the abandonment or feeling less than perfect. But the more you sit with these feelings, you will feel they have less and less power over you. So no, it can be a process. This is a learned behavior that has been a habit over years and years, if you're anything like me. And just like with anything we're trying to change, you can do it little by little. You'll get better and better at it and acknowledge your progress. Whenever you recognize that you are firm at something, whenever you recognize that you said yes to yourself instead of trying to please everyone else around you, acknowledge that about yourself. But stop trying to people please everybody else. Seek to please God first. And when you do that, that will automatically include that you are loving and honoring yourself. And you will be more pleased with life. So we need to love ourselves, honor ourselves. And that's what we can do with the changes that we make in our lives. So, and again, being a people pleaser has been something that I have had to work through, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to include it in my chapter in Unlock Your Voice, because it was something major for me. And I know I'm not the only one. I know I'm not the only one who has struggled with people pleasing, and doing the things that you feel like is sometimes right at the time, but it may not be the best decision. So make sure you are taking the necessary steps to do the things that prioritize God, making decisions that please God, instead of getting sucked into doing things that do not please God. And that is our first and foremost priority, is to be in alignment with God, have a relationship with God, so you can be that person that He needs you to be. And knowing who you are, again, like I said in session one, knowing who you are and standing firm on who that is, that person that God created you to be, instead of trying to be someone that you're not. All right, so I hope this has helped you. I hope that you get to a place in your life and you make some necessary changes. And again, like I said, it can be a journey. It can be something that you have to work on day by day, and it can be something that you can get through. All right, I believe in you. I believe in us. I believe that we will be able to overcome these things because you are already an overcomer. But overcome some of these unhealthy habits so that you can walk in your purpose. Because we can't walk boldly in our purpose and walk with kingdom authority when we are trying to please everyone else except God. Or we are trying to do everything else for everything for everyone else except for that thing is that God put within us. So this is it for today. Join me again next Monday for growth key number 4. I will post some homework in the on the feed, in the Thriving in Her Purpose feed, sometime tonight or in the morning. So look out for that. So make sure you're working on that, okay? I'll post some things throughout the week as well, and things leading up to next week. And again, invite others to join. If you have friends or family that is not part of Thriving in Your Purpose group, please invite them. I would love for them to join this movement. All right. So, yeah, have a good rest of your day. Bye.